Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Skunk and Vic here with the Eclectic Soundtrax podcast. We are here with some gentlemen from Sicard Hollow out of Nashville. It's a 4-piece progressive bluegrass band formed with a mutual passion for pushing boundaries of the genre. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you guys are staying cozy in the yeah.
Hanging in there. Yes, sir. Pleasure to be on. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Now, you guys just released your second album, sophomore album, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
Brightest of Days on November the 11th.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. So tell us about the band. How did you guys start out, and kind of what led you down the path here?
Yeah, me and Will met first in a third-year writing class. Actually, I had moved from Alabama to Louisiana for a short bit of time, and then made my way to Nashville, where my mom grew up in Brentwood, which is right out, it's in Nashville, but it's a little right outside of it. Familiar place, and got accepted back into school. I was trying to finish college. I was wearing a Dead shirt. He was wearing a Primus shirt. I was like, Primus? He's like, Dead, Nux, boom, homies. And then there's a lot of shit that happened in between that. Will had been playing a bit more music than I had. I'd given it up for quite some time and had kind of rekindled a relationship with the guitar. It was very, very simple relationship, not much depth to it, but I did find a passion in it at like 20 or 21. I started playing when I was 15, but it just fizzled out, retaught myself. And then we eventually started jamming and just kind of, then it kind of started meeting folks who inspire you and whatnot, and ended up meeting Matt. We live with Matt. Matt plays violin. And from there we just started jamming together. And at that point, and he can talk about this too, he was a guitar player and I was playing acoustic guitar, and we needed for the bluegrass sound, which is kind of what we just landed on. I was writing like singer-songwritery stuff, not really boom chucky, not as fast or not as energetic. It was just what I was coming out of me at the time. I don't really know why I was writing the style of music, but with the bluegrass kind of ensemble, Will picked up the mandolin, and you can take off from there pretty much.
I was like making some mandolin videos, or like making Instagram videos on this app called Acapella, where you could like clone yourself, making different tracks to a song. And so I was just adding in mandolin, just some to teach just to have that extra layer on the video, I guess. And so around that same time, Alex was writing these songs, and he got an offer to play this wedding up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so he was jamming with another guitar player, a friend of ours, Nick Riffle.
Mm-hmm.
And I came over, and I just learned the chords that happened to be in the songs they were playing. So I was able to play along, and it sounded okay. And they asked me if I wanted to be a part of that show up there in Buffalo. And then shortly after that, we met Matt, and we started practicing a lot together, and eventually started making videos, and posted a few on Facebook or Instagram. And the traction on them was pretty good, enough to get our attention. Nothing crazy, honestly, but it got our attention. And
people were just like stoked on it. It was very positive feedback, which is, social media is great for that. You can get sucked into it, and we have to utilize it so much nowadays. It's a huge factor in any band. I mean, you can try to go around it, but you're not going to see as much results if you're not utilizing these platforms. But for the beginning of the band, it was very encouraging. Friends were on there, random people that we hadn't spoken to in so long. Oh, this is cool, whatever. But at the time, the band wasn't we were just jamming and hanging out. There was really no intention of guys, let's hit the road. Let's, we're going to buy a van and we're going to tour the country. It was just we were, throwing shit at the wall, playing Dead tunes or playing whatever, I don't know, Knocking on Heaven's Door, a couple random ones that we just kind of grassed up. And
those videos are what led us to find our manager now, Tim, which he's been with us literally since the beginning.
Yeah, straight up.
And so Tim and got us plugged up with some shows in Nashville, shortly after that Buffalo thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to find a bass player. And coincidentally at the time, there's a dude living right next door to me, and he heard us practicing, and he like came over with the fucking.
Yeah, he had his upright above his head, like dude. He was like holding it. He's like, yeah. It was just crazy. Yeah, he just walks out with this massive bass, and it was cool. Then at that point, we were like solidified as like, okay, we can go and like play a gig, and which we did. Which he was talking about. Tim, our like first gig, like the first show was my buddy's wedding. We didn't have a bass player for it, so it's Sicard Hollow, but I didn't really consider it was like our first show, but like first show where people could like it was a public event.
Yeah,
we did a Fish. They were streaming the Fish show. I can't remember where Fish was playing at, but we played. They were like, "You guys play a 3-hour set before," and I'm like, "Holy shit! Like, how are we about to play 3 hours of music? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. I've been on the stage twice, you know. It was all very new to me, and it clicked. Over 100 people showed up, probably to see Fish. Well, they got there 3 hours early to see us play, so we had the support from the beginning, and from then on out, everybody caught the buzz. We played a good one, and like it got us high, you know. And everybody was like, it's buzzing off of this feeling. And you know, a lot of different band changes. Sorry, we're kind of going off on this right now. A lot of different member changes as far as bass goes. We had a banjo player. He's not in the band anymore. Other guitarists not in the band anymore. So we've kind of like not shed layers because we love all these people, but it was like found our sound and what was necessary. And here we are. It's pretty crazy.
So what's your typical instrumentation then with the four of you now?
I play guitar, acoustic guitar, vocals.
I do mandolin and vocals.
And then Matt plays violin. Yeah. Parrish plays. Now he plays electric.
Yeah.
We're going to do electric bass. So he went from upright to electric. Okay. That's a whole new jam funk element to it, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But we will bring the upright back for certain songs that are less jammy. Maybe some more straight bluegrass feel songs where it's like the upright does bring a huge tonal factor to it, an aesthetic factor to it, a whole energy and a vibe with that instrument that I don't think we should disregard that or get rid of it. But recently he just dealt with some bass issues at a show in Ohio, and we were at set break night, and he was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, you know, and he's like getting all stressed out. He's like taking the bass apart. And I'm like,
with an upright or electric?
His upright's messing up at the show. It's set break, and the guy who booked the show, we've been in the green room for 30 minutes. He's fucking with it, and one of the guys, hospitality guys, comes in. He's like, "Are you guys gonna come back out here and play?" I'm like, "Yes, we are." So we went, me, Will, and Matt, and just started playing trio stuff to kill some time. And Parrish comes back in. He plugs his bass in. He shits out on us again, and he's like, "I don't know what to do." I'm like, go to the van and grab your fucking electric right now. Like, we're running it, you know? Yeah. And he gets on stage and starts slapping it, and everybody went crazy. And from that moment on, he kind of had the confidence, he felt like it was, you know, accepted by our crowd, which he had a weird thing in his head about it for a little bit. But now, that's what we've been doing. So it's fun.
Yeah, that's cool to have both options. And especially if something like that happens, having the electric as a back. It sounds like an upright bass would be a pain in the ass to tour with. That is a huge ass. Like mandolin's no big deal. Big upright bass. That takes a lot of real estate.
Well, it's kind of gone through like levels, because when Parrish was first with us, he had the full size.
What you would think of an upright,
like a double bass. Yeah. It's like another person. You know,
Edgar's the name.
And then
Big Boy Edgar.
Yeah. And then he just got an Eminence bass, which, like, if y'all have seen like Yonder Mountain or like Green Sky Bluegrass before, it's that same kind of bass. Like,
small body.
It's like a skinny double bass. So that's pretty easy to move around, honestly.
Yeah, we can just kind of in our van. We don't roll with a trailer or anything. Like with his upright or the big upright, we would probably have to have a trailer. Just because of like how wide it is fitting everything. The smaller one though, it's just long, so we can like stack my guitars on the side and put it on top, and you kind of every row is available still. It doesn't take up that much space. So we're pretty fortunate with the amount of space we take up with touring. Like everybody can in one load grab all their shit, and like we watch like, you know, jam bands or rock and roll bands, and you got like 8 people wheeling in the whole, you know, all this shit sweating, and I'm just walking in with my 2 guitars. I'm like, that's all I need.
Singers are scrolling through Insta or social media, right?
Right.
Everybody else is unloading the van.
I've got my special microphone.
Right. Right. If you're lucky enough to have the crew to do it, shit.
Oh, if you're lucky, yeah.
It takes a while to get them, to get the funds to hire a bunch of people to go rip it on the road with you. So we're doing it all ourselves right now.
But that's definitely nice that you're not having to tote. So what's the percussive element? Do you guys play any sorts of percussion within? There's no drums or anything. It's all string.
We
are the drum.
That's bluegrass, man.
Yeah.
Like you in bluegrass, every instrument is part of the percussion. So, and you can think of it as you have the bass, that is the one, I guess, and the mandolin, that's the two. And then you have the fiddle, the fiddle has that idea of being it can have long sustained notes like a dobro or something.
Right,
so
right. Yeah.
It can chop like a mandolin, and it can hit that too, or do whatever, but it can also fill in the gaps real well. A banjo is kind of there. It can chop and it can hold down that snare hit too, but its banjo is going to drive it. It's going to give it some attitude. And the guitar, in a way, is kind of like the fiddle. It kind of fills a lot in. It also is. I feel like the guitar is a tough one because it fills a lot of roles. It's got to keep it driving. It's got to fill in the gaps, and it's got to.
Yeah, it's kind of got the heart, keeping the harmony. It's just like kind of like old jazz and big band and all. It's like keeping the harmonic, element there, but it's really more of a percussive instrument in a lot of ways. Just keeps that drive going.
And it's the rhythm of bluegrass is like it's such a mind fuck. Like it's fun to play fast, and it gets and the crowds real love it. But like, man, the fast stuff is what's easy. When you get those chops, like you can run the fast shit all day, but it's when we start to play the slow stuff, and you got to think about it. Like every note has to, because it's bluegrass, it's unforgiving. It's acoustic, it's unforgiving. So every note you want to be of substance.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out too. We didn't like bluegrass wasn't our shit. Metalheads, punk heads, hip hop, prog. All around, really nobody came from a bluegrass, electronic. Matt's super into electronic.
Right. Yeah.
We're coming from
all
really
cool, actually, though. I was reading about that, and I think it's pretty neat the way you guys form this thing out of all these different influences. It kind of gives you an interesting vibe. It's not like you're just all like diehard bluegrass guys, and you're coming from all these different places and meshing that into this genre.
Right.
What the quote was about, pushing the genre or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, we had to respect bluegrass too to kind of figure it out, because there is in all of it is grassy, like it is string band music. I wouldn't call it bluegrass. If you're going to be like super technical about it, you could nitpick it and be like, well, that's not traditional bluegrass. But like we had to study that shit. You can't just start playing that genre and be like, oh, I'm going to go listen to all these my metal bands and all this other shit and learn how to flat pick. Like, you're just not going to, like, I think, or you're going to not see as much results as if you go back to and study how this shit was formed, and then the fundamental early guys and take what you can from them and borrow that, and then listen to the new guys and the new jam grass and all this shit where it's kind of what we're doing, but we're doing our own thing with it, just like unintentionally doing our own thing with it, which is amazing because that means we're doing our own thing, Right. Right. We're not trying to be Sicard Hollow. That shit just kind of happened, and people are like, "Oh, you guys got a sound." And I'm like, "Cool, like that." That's an amazing thing for a band. We're almost 5 years in, and I think we found our sound like within the first year or two. Really, I mean, we were again figuring it out and chiseling away at it. But now, like, people will know. I think people can identify it as us, by little nuances. So. I like the whole thing hot vibe. It's awesome that everybody brought all these other crazy influences in, because then we can really, make it interesting.
And bluegrass is such an inviting community. There's so much jamming is such a strong part of the culture. So like while we were starting our band, we're also meeting all these other people in town that also love playing bluegrass.
Right.
So it becomes like a social thing, and it's
100%.
It's a real fun thing to be a part of. And you can go and like there's bluegrass picking nights multiple times a week in town, and there's a big picking party once a year down in where they do the horse racing here in Nashville, and it's just on top of it being a great type of music, and one that we get to play in front of people, and are blessed to get to go on the road and play, like just to like play bluegrass, just like the picking out in the field with with people. It's awesome.
It's a language in itself, you know.
It sounds like very communal, and like you're saying, I was going to ask about that if you had like open jam night. They have blues jams and stuff, and bluegrass jams. You
amazing
know, so
things.
Meet people, meet great players that way.
Yeah, totally. And like, dude, we live like 5 minutes. He was talking about this equestrian center. They do steeplechase there. It's this big horse, you know, this big area in this park, and they do it. He was saying they do it once a year. They do it more than once a year. They call them full moon picking parties, and like. And, you know, shit ton of people go out there, and there's a couple bands that play, and then there's the picking circles, and there'll be like the old guy circle, there'll be like a young kid circle, there'll be like a mixture of everybody. I mean, we play with like this 15-year-old girl who's on a fiddle, and like it was just humbling. It was cool because she's teaching us stuff, we're teaching her stuff. She grabs the guitar, she can pick some fiddle tunes on the guitar, and it's like she looks up to us because we're in this band, and I'm like, you don't even understand how incredible you are. You already are incredible. If you stick with it, like you're going to blow this shit out of the park, you know, like, and to even have that inspiration from a, you know, however old these kids are out there. And then from the older people who are, you know, been picking and doing their thing for longer than we've been alive, you know, and to be able to just level with people as you're not younger than me. We're picking a bluegrass tune. You're not fucking 70. Like we're playing the same shit. Like that's the cool part about it to me is like, once you kind of learn that language, then if anybody else knows a little bit of that language, like you can, you know, you're best friends as far as that goes. You can pick all night if you want to. So very communal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like just a cool thing about music in general. It's such a universal thing, and age and race and color and background, none of that matters. You know, it's just like you're communicating through this higher thing. And then within that, all the subgenres actually bluegrass being one style of many of music. And then even within that, there's all kinds of stuff, but you immediately have a bond that transcends all these other things. Just for that. Yeah. That's super cool, man.
It is. Yeah. Definitely really inspiring.
So when you guys started getting this together, were you like hitting the road right off the bat then? Like it looks like you got some tour dates right now. Looks like you're on the road in December.
Yeah, we've been bopping around a little bit this year. We switched agencies, which kind of like changed up a little bit of what was happening. And we've been trying to get whatever support slots we can get for the rest of the year. We're up in Pencil. We just got back from Virginia. We did a big Montana run. We've been all around, honestly. But next year it's going to pick up quite a bit. But when we first started, yeah, man, we started traveling immediately, but nothing too crazy. Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta, anywhere outside, you know, and around the area in Nashville. We played a lot of gigs in Nashville. Huntsville, go down to Alabama, Birmingham occasionally. He's from Huntsville. I'm from Birmingham. Random shit like that. And I'm trying to think of where else really.
Maybe Kentucky.
Yeah, just little, you know, just day trips pretty much. Drive down there. If we couldn't find a place to crash, you know, drive home right after. 2 cars, no van. Tim, our manager, was like super gung-ho about it. Like, load up the fucking van, you know, load up the car. We'll take 2 cars. And then eventually bought a PA system and started doing private events where we'd lug all of our shit out there, and slowly built it up with the encouragement of people. And, you know, everybody just had this drive to like do it. And it started working out for us.
Did you guys, just coming from these different backgrounds, and of course, you know, Will already playing mandolin, and, you know, you guys already played these instruments, but how much of a learning curve was there when you really started getting into the bluegrass? Like, you mentioned flat picking earlier. Were you developing new techniques and new approaches?
I was figuring it out. Yeah, it was hard as shit. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Yeah. I wouldn't take a solo for the first 2 years of us playing because I couldn't. I didn't know how to. Then what you got to do, I've said it a bunch and I'll say it till the day I die. Anybody asks me like, how are you getting better? Sit down and practice with intention for hours. Hours. Don't put that shit down. Get whatever lessons you need to get. Online lessons. YouTube has a wealth of information on YouTube, and sit the fuck down and do it. And if you want to get good at something, it'll start clicking in your head. Then it's like, boom, all this shit's firing, and you connect one thing with another concept, and it's like, whoa, I'm addicted to this now. Like, cool, that it's opening up. I understand this fretboard a little more, which I previously, like, I would look at it like it was this, you know, Sudoku puzzle or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And it starts to open up. And yeah, and I practice my ass off till I die. I hope I will, because there's always going to be things to improve on and things to learn, which is also super intriguing about these instruments. Like, you can master it. I can tell you a couple people who I would think have mastered it, but even still, you know, there's so many things like they haven't fully mastered it, you know. So it's this never ending thing that's, you know, lifelong if you want it to be.
All of us, when we started the band, I think, had found in some way bluegrass in like just going to see the bands. Like when I saw Railroad Earth come through Nashville, I was like, this is fucking sick. And Alex, I'm sure, has had experiences, and all of us. Parrish used to tour Yonder, and Matt, I'm sure Matt has known about Billy Strings since forever.
Matt liked Railroad Earth too. Railroad Earth, Kitchen Dwellers was the introduction. Billy kind of came a little bit after, but before
we started the band and got real into bluegrass for real, like we didn't really hang out with the bluegrass crowd in Nashville. It was definitely here, but we were definitely more hanging around like the Fish, Humphreys, Grateful Dead type music scene. And so when we started doing what we were doing, we weren't really like looking at what the bluegrass scene in Nashville was doing necessarily. I think I had just found out who Billy Strings was when we started the band. So I knew that who Billy was, but other than that, like I didn't really know the caliber of players that were in town. And
right.
It is intimidating, but also humbling in a good way, you know?
Yeah.
But when we started the group, we weren't really paying attention to all that. So it wasn't really in our heads. We were just doing the best we could, and our friends were coming out to the shows, and it was encouraging. And so it was a very, it felt like a very free time, and it was a good time for us to grow, especially into those bluegrass instruments.
Definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah, in a positive way, having fun, enjoying it, wanting to play the music, wanting to practice. That's such a big part of it, is being inspired and wanting to do it, you know. And at that point, I mean, ultimately, of course, it's the music business, but you guys sounds like you started out in a way where it was something new, something fresh, everything clicked, and you were doing it for the right reasons and being inspired, wanting to play, and then these other elements followed rather than sort of beating your head against the wall, you know, with all that stuff first. So that's I think that probably helped you guys really, like you said, build a following, get a buzz, like everyone was excited. You know, there's that intangible energy, I think, that comes from a band like that that's doing something special, and you can feel it as a crowd member, you know, that it's unique or it's genuine, right? And they're enjoying it, that it's not contrived, it's not, you know, that everyone's really there for the right reasons and playing the music that they love, you know, and growing with that music collectively. So that's cool. Right.
Yeah, that was well said. Honestly, I agree with all of that completely. It was very organic, and if it wasn't organic, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Or I feel like been in those situations, and they'll only last so long, man. You know, I've realized, like, I think you've got to have that camaraderie. Like, you all have to be on a certain level musically, but you can grow musically, right?
Right.
It's like you gotta love the music you're playing and the people you're playing with, I think.
Yeah,
that's when you really have something, you know?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, 100%. The heart. Got to play it with heart. If we don't, it's not going to hit as hard. Like, there's just no way.
What about prior bands and projects? What did each of you guys do before this? Was there any real sort of band stuff that had any, or it's all y'all are, this is sort of your first
not for me
big rodeo?
Parrish was in a band called Soul Mechanic that used to tour around the Southeast.
Yeah. Parrish played in a lot of bands, actually. Parrish is the oldest in our band. He's 32. And I mean, he started gigging when he was like 15 or 16 on the bass, and like played through Texas with a bunch of people, moved down this way. He did the jam band stuff. And I mean, he's a nasty bass player. He's phenomenal. Yeah, he's insane, honestly. I would say that if he wasn't in the band, like, not tooting our own horn, but yeah, he's really good. And he definitely has a lot of experience. I wasn't 15 years old in a little middle school band. We would just chase each other around with drumsticks and fight each other. You know, it wasn't anything, no songs, never played anything, but the idea was there. It was never a dream though. And then, you know, gave all that shit up, for quite a while. So this is my first rodeo for sure. I mean, it was walk the plank, sink or swim, put on a smile and act like you know what the fuck you're doing. Cause I still don't really. So, we're making it happen, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any particular? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's side projects. Parrish plays in a side project called Killer Keys, it's a funk band. A guy named Marcus White, Joel Forleans, and Jared. I can't remember Jared's last name, but they're out of Chattanooga. It's a funk fusion. It's insane. It's really dope. And then Matt plays in a side project with a DJ called SJ, our friend. She produces. He plays violin over like I don't even know how to describe the electronic. It's super cool, super dope what they got going on. Yeah. So there's a couple different little things that are happening.
I think it's happening a lot now with that sort of EDM stuff and like putting old, authentic or acoustic instrumentation, old school instrumentation along with that.
It's dope what they do.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, they crush it. It's sick for sure.
I was going to ask, what kind of, are you guys really picky about the instruments you play? Brand? Do you have certain brands that you play?
Yeah.
What's your gear? Give us the gear rundown.
Yeah.
You just got a new one?
Yeah, I started off with the Kentucky. That was the one I learned. I pretty much started playing with the band, and I got a new one a new Northfield at the beginning of 2020. Northfield NF, their bass model, and that's done me real well. I've beat the hell out of it. It's a great mandolin. But as time goes on, like in band, if you've ever gotten into the world of mandolins, you can really tell in every single one you play, they're all different. No mandolin the same. And so like we've gotten to go to so many places and I've gotten to play so many. And so I find traits that I like, oh, I like that better. Or maybe I like this trait of my mandolin better than this one. But I start to develop to develop a more specific palette. And I went on this mandolin hunt and I played a whole bunch in town at Carter Vintage Guitars, Groons. There's a place up in Goodlettsville, not far from here, called the Mandolin Store, and they have a great YouTube channel. Man, so I said I had a Northfield, and I really thought I wanted to get a Gibson because Gibsons have this prestige about them. They're especially right now they're being built by this guy David Harvey, and they're all so great. They all look pretty and they sound amazing, and they're just these fantastic instruments. And there's Collings and there's Weber, and I was playing all these different ones. And I ended up coming back to Northfield, and I basically they were the most consistent ones of the ones I was playing. And I found this black one up in Pittsburgh, and so I got this black Northfield recently. So right now I'm playing two Northfields. So to answer your question, yeah, I have stuck to one specific brand at least right now. But then I also have this octave mandolin, which is similar to what Michael Kang plays in String Cheese Incident, and that it's single strung, so you can play it pretty much like a guitar. It's just
it's electric,
and you fret it like a mandolin. So it's basically just taking the theory and fingerings of a mandolin and applying that to an electric guitar with pretty much the range of an electric guitar.
Yeah, it sounds like a shreddy. I mean, you plug it into a tube amplifier and all that jazz, and can run. We run effects pedals through all our shit, anyways. But
and then my rig for that is I have a Fender amp, which sounds fine. You can't really mess with that. Mm-hmm. And then I just run a single tube screamer out of an attenuator, and that's all I do.
Nice.
I don't get to play that with Sicard, but it's I play it a lot in town, and when people ask me to play with them, I'll sometimes play that instead of acoustic. If there's a drummer or something.
For those that don't know, what's the tuning of a mandolin?
G, D, A, E. And on that electric one, there's an extra high B because it's a 5-string.
Okay. So violin, basically.
Like a bass guitar, but upside down. Yeah, violin.
Yeah, in fifths instead of fourths. What about you, man? Guitar?
Yeah, I started out buying a Taylor, which was a cutaway, which I didn't even know shit about bluegrass. And then it's not like it's sacrilegious, but a lot of most people who are playing bluegrass aren't going to be playing a Taylor cutaway. So I sold it, bought a Martin D21. I wanted a 28. I'm a huge Tony Rice fan, but just wasn't in the cards. Found a 21 for a good price. Fell in love with it. Played that one for a while. Wanted to upgrade just because I'll hit on what he said. We have like the most amazing acoustic instrument shops like down the road from us. Like we can just go in there and like have a field day on like vintage instruments and all the above. Any luthier, anybody you see playing anything in like small boutique shops, you know, they got it all there. Santa Cruz, Collings, Bourgeois, which is what I play. I'll go into that in a second. All the Martins, all the pre-war shit, you know, Thompsons, everything everything they have there. And so we were able to just go in there and fuck around until they kick us out, which they don't anymore. After you spend like $10,000 at a music store, they're not going to kick you out anymore.
Okay, these kids are all right. Come on in.
Right. It's funny how that works out. I fell in love with this luthier, Dana Bourgeois. He's out of Lewiston, Maine. They boutique company, makes acoustic instruments, and I think they do mandolins as well, mandolins, guitars. I bought this Age Tone. It's a Dreadnought. It's like a D18. That's what I played. Now Lucy is her name. And I love that guitar. And then I was breaking a lot of strings on the road, and I just wanted another guitar. Honestly, I caught a bug, and I went back into Carter just randomly one day, and was going to be looking for Collings or Santa Cruz. And lo and behold, I picked up another Bourgeois, Slope D. It's this beautiful darker color. And walked out with that one too. I don't have a name for he or she. I'm not sure yet, but I don't really play that one on stage. So I have two Bourgeois, and they're both incredible instruments. And run those through an effects board. Grace Audio Designs, we all run that. It's a company out of Colorado for our preamps. And then whatever pedals we decide to use. Everybody kind of has their own thing, but nothing too crazy. But shout out Bourgeois Guitars. They're amazing instruments, and very stoked with how they both play.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
What was I just going to say? I was going to ask about your album and the recording process. Are you guys very much when you record? Was the process similar to the well, it looks like you have two full albums and then a live at Brooklyn Bowl in Nashville.
Yeah, and then 3 other singles that we recorded in between.
Right.
We just did one full day in the studio, not hit three tunes to kind of fill some time between the release, recording of the second album and the release of it, just to give people some stuff in between.
Right. So what was, did you record these at the same studio or different studios? And what was the process like for each? Let's start with your first album, Secret of the Breeze, like very live, organic sort of thing, or tell us about the process there.
Yeah. Well, at the time, our banjo, so in the first album, there's a banjo player on it named Dan Davis. Dan is an audio wizard. He works at a studio called Southern Ground, which is owned by Zach Brown of the Zach Brown Band. High-end spot. I mean, it's fucking beautiful. We are very fortunate. And Dan kind of was able to weasel us in late night stuff, cut some costs here and there. Obviously, he engineered it with a guy named Preston White. Super professional. Yes, the jams were, it was a pretty live feel. I mean, every song's played live. Like, if a solo or whatever, if you want to go back and try to hit that as many times, or not even as many times as you want, because we were on a time crunch. So it's like, you kind of got to throw out perfection, or like not get too heady about it, because there's a point where it's like train's rolling on, like we can't sit here for another hour and you do take after take, it's just going to be counterproductive. But it was interesting having the banjo player engineer it too. He took on too much on his plate. We finished it, don't get me wrong, but like, hindsight, like we should have allotted more time probably, so he was not as stressed. But I don't think it affected the album at all. Love the first the first album for sure. Southern Ground, amazing spot. But second one was done down the road at the Wood Brothers studio. It's called The Studio. I don't know if it's actually theirs, but like Oliver Wood keeps all his bass. I think Oliver Wood plays bass, or one of them, whoever plays bass in the band. I can't remember all their gears there and stuff. Another very, very amazing room too. But I think the next one we'll do at Southern Ground again, go back to the first spot.
I like it with the, bluegrass traditional, you think, kind of stripped down, acoustic music, but also just the recording process, much more traditional. Go in and knock it out, bang it out, live in the studio, not nitpicking things to death and multi-tracking. And there's no right or wrong. And obviously that option exists today, and it's right for certain genres and stuff. But with what you guys are doing, it seems like there's a really authentic character for that bluegrass sort of jam type music to do it that way. And I would think it sounds like you guys knocked these recordings out pretty quick. Like, what was the sort of timeline for each of those albums?
3 days, 4 days at most. 4 days, yeah. I want to say 4 days at most. I mean, we were fucking in there
all day,
12, over 12 hours in there. I mean, it's stressful. It's not fun the whole time, but once you start getting pissed off about it, or you start getting in your head, it's like, man, we can play these songs like, perfect at home if we're just sitting around in the living room. You get the nice mics, and he's like, all right, don't move that much. Like, your chair's creaking. These mics are like, thousands of dollars. Like any little thing, he's like, Alex, quit in your chair. I'm like, it's all these little things that it's like whenever you try to film a video or something of you playing and you click the record button and you go, fuck it all up. And it's like,
yeah, I know about that.
So getting out of your head, right? It's a whole thing, and then you get pissed off and like, fuck this, like I'm over it. But you can't do that when you're paying all this money, and you have these days where it's like, all right, get it together, smoke a bowl about it, go outside, take yourself a little break, whatever, and then we're gonna hop right back in and we're gonna knock it out. So it's been it was in both, but I mean both albums were amazing processes. Honestly, it's I think it's super fun getting everybody in there and like hunkering down. It's like, all right, boys, like we're about to make some art for people. Like, let's fucking, get in the right zone, vibe out, and like, let's make something beautiful.
Did you have an outside producer, or you self-produced these just with an engineer? How did that work?
We had an outside producer for the first time on this one.
Okay.
Mr. John Mallender.
Yep.
He's amazing. Plays for Bruce Hornsby. He's on the first 2 Billy Strings records, which I should actually, side note, sorry, I'm kind of ranting, but Dan Davis, our old banjo player, had recorded half of Billy's home album at Southern Ground. So, he's got a lot of, his resume is pretty thick. So we had good crew in the studio.
What, I'm assuming it was digital, not to tape. I don't know how much stuff's done to tape anymore, but, were you guys going through like just different high-end preamps, or was there like a console? Do you remember what you were going in that realm?
I mean, Dan's running off a console for sure.
I don't know what kind of console.
A Neve. I don't know.
It might be a Neve. I don't know exactly for sure.
I'm not that audio savvy. Like that's not my wheelhouse at all. But big console, yeah. And he was doing a bunch of shit. I mean, like we gave them kind of like not free, pretty much free reign. It's like, okay, whatever you think is going to set it up and sound the best. And then
that's why they're there. Like they know the gear, they know, right? If they know your I mean, really, I think it's the idea of the collection of the producer to understand the artist's vision.
Which John did.
Right. And then
got to know us.
Is going to be able to kind of capture, that is going to know how to capture that,
right.
With the producer. So yeah, that's cool, man.
They did a lot in the back end too. He would send us a mix and be like, here, we added this, we threw in these effects. Like,
oh, nice.
What do you guys think about it? Because we kind of jotted down ideas, and then John wanted to work with Dan, just them to kind of like bring these notes that we had to life. And then we would all get together, listen to them, 5 times each in a row. What do we like? What do we not like? What needs to be turned up? All that shit, and it's like, it really was a collective effort to land on the finished product. So,
and the same guy who engineered, recorded, was the mixing engineer too, or was that someone different?
Yeah, Dan mixed it all.
Yeah.
Dan and John. I think Dan mixed it all. Yeah. And then we sent it out to mastering for whatever Southern Grounds like guy. They got a dude, that pretty much masters all their shit. Or I'm not exactly sure, but there was no question about the mastering of it.
Right. Writing wise, who's the primary songwriter? Do you write collectively? Does someone usually come in with a completed song and then you kind of put the icing on the cake or an embryo and then everybody contributes? How does that tend to work, or is it different every time?
We both write. Anything I sing, I wrote. Anything he sings, he wrote. Typically, thus far, Yeah. I have more songs on there. Will has a couple that are in the works, and a couple that we play live that have not been recorded too. And we have one song that was like there's a couple that were like, I would say collaborations. Yeah. Every song is a collaboration. Like I'm not gonna be like, this is it. This is how we're gonna fucking do it. But I will come with like I make this analogy I've made it a couple of times. it's like building a house. I'll go in and build the frame, I'll build everything, build the stairs, do the whole shit, but like it's not decorated at all. So then we can interior design it and like change up whatever vibe we want depending on what room you're going in, and that comes in like with Will bringing ideas to the table, Parrish bringing ideas to the table for the bass group. Matt does a lot of the melodies, and and a lot of those are first try. He's like, play the song, boom, start playing it. He's like, play it again, boom, shits out this like fiddle melody that's like, whoa, okay, cool, and then that's a motif for the tune, and then we can really try to find jammable sections if they're called for. So it is a group effort, but like lyrically, we both write our lyrics separately. It's kind of hard for me right now with when I'm having direction in a song to bring somebody else into it, unless we can like level on like what it's about. And a lot of the shit I write about is like based upon things I've been through or what I'm feeling at the time. So it's kind of, I don't know. I like writing lyrics by myself a lot.
Yeah. That seems like that's usually the most vulnerable thing too, to put your lyrics out, and in a studio. I think a lot. I've gotten a lot better about that, but the terror of singing in a studio naked and hearing your voice for the first time, and
it's weird. But
wow, I suck.
Right.
That's what I sound like, Jesus. But are you, when you're playing in the studio, do you record all the music live and then go back and do the vocals, or are you singing those live too? You probably go back and
do a working take. We'll do the vocals, like do a live take with vocals, and then we'll take off the vocal track, re-record the vocal track, and then overdub solos after that. Right.
Because also like with the vocals, Dan was also like, yo, if you can play the song in your head without the vocals, just because we're playing our instruments into microphones too. So I'm singing and like my guitar mic is going to be picking up.
You're going to have bleed. Yeah.
So like what we would do occasionally, I would sing, say we're doing a song of mine. I'd sing like the first, line. Then we try to play through the whole tune, everybody playing it in their heads. If we can't, obviously I'd sing the whole thing. But then what I would do is go back and cut my guitar again where I was singing at.
Gotcha.
And even that's 4 bars, it's like, it's me playing a G chord for 4 bars. So it's like, ding, 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 boom. All right, we're good. Now everything is, cohesive and there's not that bleed over. Then we can do isolated vocals. Mm-hmm. So that was the way we did. I think the first record, though, I feel like we were just singing whenever we were playing. I think that was just specific to the second one, but it was never a burden or it was not. I liked going in to the isolated booth and like it'd be a morning where he'd be like, Alex, come in, and like just you come in and we're going to knock out these songs. So then I get in my zone, I got my coffee, I got my tea, I can groove, I'm dancing in there. I'm like, and then I'm like, find a groove with it. I'm like, run it again, nail a take, run it again, and either do like 3 of them. And then if we wanted to comp that, if there's like certain parts for one take that I'm like, oh, I sounded better right there.
Yeah, of course.
Move that one. Typically like 2 or 3 takes for each.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like studio and live are 2 different animals entirely, and you approach them different. Yep. And even with this being a very live organic style, you're still the studio things you're going to follow because you want your best absolute performance and you don't want bleed and all that kind of stuff. But and then live, you guys strike me as just, you get out there and it's just, you hit it and you're just like,
we tried to,
you know what I mean? Like that's the energy of the live. You can't top that, it's funny though, guys that have done that and then they go in the studio and it's just like, oh boy, this is, you got to learn. This is a very different beast right here. Very different mindset.
100%. You're completely right.
What you got, Vic? What you thinking?
No, I mean, I was thinking gear, but I mean, we covered that. So, albums. I was thinking about something about the albums. Oh, yeah, you were saying it's more of a live or it's not multi-track, so it just makes sense. It's more organic that way when you're playing live versus having to track everything and then go back and then retrack and then multiple takes. I was just thinking about that earlier too. It's like just once you get in front of the microphone or you get in front of the camera, you start doing your take, and then eventually you're just gonna just jack it up and you have to go back.
Yeah.
And then so you start sifting through film or you start sifting through vocal tracks or whatever, and you're just like, there's always going to be something. At least I know there's always something I don't like about all my takes, but
100%. We can go through the whole album, all the albums and everything, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
it is what it is. We're our biggest critics. I feel like we tear that shit apart, and we're trying not to anymore because it's beneficial to a certain point, and then there's a certain point where you're just like, it is what it is. Like it's not bad. It's just how you hear yourself. Some people might say it's the best shit they've ever heard, and you're like, not on that one.
Call Axl Rose Chinese democracy, right?
He's a huge anything hair metal. That's his shit. Dude.
Oh man,
rock is his wheelhouse.
That was my catalyst is why I started playing guitar back in the fucking 90s, right when you guys were probably not born yet. I don't know. It's like,
95. I was born 95.
Yeah, dude, like Guns N' Roses, that shit. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I got to play guitar. This is amazing. You guys have a lot of live stuff. I was listening through your albums. I didn't make it through quite everything, but I was listening through your albums, but I haven't really gone and watched YouTube stuff. Do you have, it looks like a lot of live stuff. Do you have official music videos as well?
Just recently we did. Yeah. Tim, our manager, shout out to Tim, because he kind of threw some shit together. Not even saying like that. They're great, We haven't hired somebody on. We did hire my buddy Nathan to video to film a bunch of shit for us, a couple shows. We brought him on the road with us. He's great. He graduated a university here with a videography degree. And so some of the stuff, there's full shows on there that Nathan recorded. There's some other clips and stuff that we've used in some music videos, but we haven't done like a music video where it's like, here's a concept, like we're acting, or like, here, let's go out in this field and like, we're going to sync it up. Like, right. Just kind of compilation of video stuff that we've accumulated over the years.
I do like the videos that are on there that are fairly recent that have like the like a song cover or the album cover.
Right.
In the back, in the background, there's like a moving background. I thought that was really cool.
What I'm seeing right now with Escape the Unknown.
Yeah, Tim that's amazing. Shout out to Tim again. Yeah, he's like really gung ho about figuring all this shit out. That's like, I would have no idea how to do any of that.
It's really simple, but I like it. It's just really cool.
He was stoked on that. He'll be stoked to listen to this. I'm sure he will listen to this. Yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, he was like, dude, like, look at this image. He's like, all the stars are moving in the background. He's like, we need to fucking do this. He was so hype on it. I'm like, yeah, man, that's dope. And then, so that's super cool.
I was going to ask too, man, with kind of expanding your touring circuit. It looks like, you guys have done a lot of regional, a lot of, I guess, kind of East Coast. You've hit a fair amount of East Coast. I see you're in Olympia, Washington. Is that a festival you got later this year or early next year?
I'd have to double check on that one. I don't even know about that one.
Have you done much West Coast stuff, or is this
Colorado,
East Coast?
Utah, Colorado.
Yeah, we've gotten out West Coast, not necessarily. We're going out to Tahoe for Winter Wondergrass.
Yeah,
and that's the soonest, I believe, that we'll be on the West Coast.
There's West Coast dates next year for sure. Yeah, next year is going to be. There's a lot on the table for next year that would be places we haven't been, bands we haven't toured with. We can't say anything about any of it right now. Unfortunately, I wish we could, but so much exciting shit is about to go down. Yeah, we're just gearing up for it. It's going to be it'll be a wonderful year of hard work. So
maybe we'll see him at South by.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Man, we gotta get to Austin.
You guys down in Austin? Hell yeah, dude! You definitely
need to. Yeah,
Austin's sick.
I've actually never been. We did 3 Texas shows like a year ago or something. We did Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. But yeah, Parrish, our bass player, is from Tyler, Texas. So anytime we
really?
He's born and raised Tyler. So he's itching to get back to Texas. So I hope, I'm not sure, but I hope we're in your neck of the woods next year at some point.
Yeah, let us know. I'm curious. I always ask this. I'm curious about any particular venues you guys have played that were some of your favorite places, cities or venues, just in general. What's the places you love?
There's this. I feel I can't remember the name of it.
And Spearfish,
dude. Spearfish.
Matthews Opera House was the place.
Matthews Opera House in South Dakota, man. Spearfish,
was super cool.
So cool.
I like Charleston Poorhouse. Shout out the Poorhouse, dude. Those people are fucking family. Amazing community there. Yeah. Music 7 days a week, patio shows and inside shows. And we started on the patio and we've headlined 2 shows there since. And like all the same people show up and then more, you know, like a great community out there. In town, Brooklyn Bowl is amazing. We love that venue. Basement East.
Cervantes in Colorado.
Awesome. Yep. Bluebird Theater, we headline in Colorado. Anything that's like above our tip, you know, like when you walk in and it's like a big room and it's like a big stage and like, you know, you get it just like climbing up the ladder. But some of the super small rooms are also rowdy as hell and so much fun. As long as there's a good sound guy and their sound is not total fucking trash. Because when that's the case, I don't give a shit about the room. Like, dude, this is terrible right now.
We still use wedges, so like that shit matters a lot.
Yeah, it does for sure.
So you got you're not rolling with in-ears. You're old school. Okay.
We just had a talk with our manager today about it. Yeah, we need to buy. That's like on a list of things, but there's just been so much money moving around, and it takes a lot to do this shit, you know. We're doing it all ourselves, you know. And kudos to all the bands who have investors and are able to, you know, cough up the money it takes to get everything off the ground and get it professional. And we're doing, you know, we built it up from $0 to whatever. We probably are less than $0 right now, honestly, but just with all the shit we've been doing. But
I mean, what it seems though, man, for you guys coming out and it's only, you know, it's still a really young band, just a few years to have this success, to already be doing national touring. You've got management, you've got some great publicity going on. You've got a team. And I think that's something a lot of guys, myself included, don't really understand, you know, early on. And you try to do these things and you're like, no, you're like, you know, you have to have that. So that's the trade-off, you know, it costs money and then just advancing up the ladder, you know, but as that happens, like, it's, you know, you're funding a business and you have to have a team and money to drive.
And like leaving town for 2 weeks at a time. Like if everybody's not making, bills don't stop when you go on the road, you know, as much as I would love for that to be the case. Like, dude, Paris got animals, like everybody's busting ass out. We're trying to just, you know, make it month to month, which is a beautiful life we live, you know, and we see what is feasible, and you just got to tread water until you get to that point where everything, the expenses are, which we're pretty caught up. We're doing fucking great. I don't mean to sound like we're just we're tanking. But it is not like, oh, you guys are on the road, like you must be making a ton of money. It's like we're busting our fucking asses on the road. Like, you know, you gotta love it to want to and be very passionate about it to continue to do so. And we've come to learn that the past couple of years.
Yeah, everybody always sees the end result, right? They don't see
you don't see the whole day and the late night and the driving fucking 12 hours to the next one and overnight shit. I mean, dude, we've been hauling like. But I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
I just came off a really rigorous tour, by far the longest, most rigorous tour I've ever done. And people are like, man, it looks like you're having a blast. I'm like, well, yeah, but also I'm fucking really tired. Like,
right, dude. It'll wear you out.
It's a 12-hour day of hauling around gear and PA, setup, sound check, play, sell merch, break down, load up, drive, wait. You know, it's just like
the golden microphone.
Yeah, it's very tough. Yeah. No, I'm not the singer that just gets to carry a microphone around.
Right.
My keyboard, the keyboard I was playing was like amazing, but Jesus, I mean, it's like how many hernias that I get on that tour, you know what I mean?
Right,
that moment when you're playing is awesome.
It's bliss, man. Yeah.
And you just like, you get done and you're like, fuck, we wish we had roadies.
Right, dude. Right, straight up. Yeah, it's
I was going to ask too, in line with that, right? Like a lot of money, I think, for many bands comes from like merchandise and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Obviously, streaming is not much of us. Do you guys have vinyl and do you have merch? Do you do pretty well with that stuff? That seems to be.
It is the money maker, for sure.
Merch is definitely growing. It's doing good right now.
Yeah, we got a couple different types of shirts, hoodies, hat pins, patches. We just did patches, prints, stickers. CDs, no vinyls coming for the second album. We did a Kickstarter to fund it.
Cool.
And saw great results from that. We actually just mailed out like 80 things today. That's what we spent majority of today doing. But there's vinyl so hard to fucking get right now.
It takes time too.
For anybody, we're not even we projected next year, June, I think, is whenever we'll get our. Yeah, it's a long time. We had to reach out to everybody and say this is out of our it's really out of our control. So we will have vinyl, yes, and then we'll do vinyls for the first record and all that good stuff as as we grow the fan base, demand starts growing for all the stuff, and but what you were saying, merch, dude, for these some of these support slots, we're not getting paid that much, and we'll quadruple that in merch if we're and that's shit super inspiring to see a room of people that don't even know you, and they're like, yo, that was dope, and they want to come and buy your stuff and support you in whatever way they can. And I love meeting people too, dude. We'll kick it at the merch table and just talk to everybody. You got to do that grassrootsy shit, which I love doing, and I love talking and meeting people. But that shit goes so far. Like
it does. That's everything, man. It's a relationship.
So far, dude. For
making
real,
an impact on somebody. Take that extra time, and that's the thing. It's like I know there's times you're tired. You're in a bad mood or whatever. But that's not. They're your fans. Those are people that are there. Excited.
Absolutely.
They just saw you. They want to spend money. They want to get a picture. It's always been lame to me. Anybody who's just like, I'm too cool for school. I mean, I remember I had a site like Dweezil Zappa, like these titans. I mean, this guy grew up with Frank Zappa's dad, for God's sake.
Right, yeah.
In the world when he was a kid. And I've seen that guy hopped off the front of a stage at Stubbs here, which is pretty renowned venue here in Austin one time. Outdoor crowd, well over 1,000, 2,000 people. And he said, hey, whoever wants to hang out and talk, and he just hopped off the front of the stage.
That's so dope.
It was a line of hundreds of people. And I never forgot that. I was like, God damn, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It makes such an impact,
Straight up. 100%. I agree with that.
So people can shop on your website. Let's tell everybody your website, where they can go for work merch, where they can go to find your music.
It's easy. Sicardhollow.com. Yeah, straight up. We managed to get the name, because it's actually the Sicard Hollow is the road behind the house I grew up in, and there's like a bunch of shit on Sicard Hollow Road, a sports complex, a bunch of stuff. And if you Google Sicard Hollow, we are the first thing that pops up. So everything's on there. Any press is on there, any tours on there, the shop's on there, all that good stuff. There's a newsletter that people can sign up for.
Social links, all that stuff.
Yeah, everything's on there. But mainly we operate out of Facebook and Instagram would be the two main ones that we put all the info on. But yeah, go to the website because it's all there.
I'm looking at your store here. Go ahead, Vic.
Oh, I was just going to ask, who does your artwork? Because I'm looking at some of these prints, and they are just sick, man. They're awesome.
Are you on the shop right now?
Yeah.
So those 3 prints are actually like a triptych. So like you can put them all 3 together, and they like make one image.
Wow.
It's a guy named Brandon Trammell. Shout out to Brandon Trammell. He crushes it. I mean, he does a lot of shit for a lot of people. Like he did some Disco Biscuits prints, Green Sky, Papadozio. He did a board game recently for Billy Strings. It's like a 4-piece fold out thing, and like he's crushing it, dude. Yeah, we love working with him. Love the art a lot. Yeah, he really knocked it out of the park.
Is he Nashville too? How did you guys meet him?
I actually don't know where he lives at. So we found him and then developed a relationship just through the art, and like kind of had him, went through a bunch of different people on Instagram or whatever we could find, and just kind of found a style for what the vision was for the 3 prints. Told him when it was up, and dude, he crushed it. So we would definitely work with him in the future. But I'll mention 2 other artists just because I should. Our first album was done by our really close friend Jerica, her and her partner Trevor. Trevor used to play bass in the band for a little bit, for a small stint, but she did her first album cover, and she's an incredible artist. And then a guy named Kumali did our Brightest of Days album cover, and he's a good buddy of ours. He lives in town, and we love the album cover for Brightest of Days. I think it just like represents the overall message of the record very well.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I straight up think I'm going to buy this P-Bear shirt. This is fucking great.
I know. I was looking at that.
I love that, dude. Yeah, that's
Parrish.
awesome.
Parrish is a big boy, and we call him, like a big Pete. And he's a big grizzly bear, and I call it Bearish the upright Bearish Gabriel the upright grizzly. So
P-Bear,
he's stoked on that shirt too. Yeah, definitely.
I was looking at the stickers. I was going to slap one on my laptop.
Do it, man. Do it for sure. Yeah, Parrish would be super hype on that. So,
oh shit! Now I forgot what I was going to say. I got all sidetracked on the
bear. Yeah.
Oh, that's not the Parrish is not your original bass player, the dude that just showed up, right?
No, Chris, this is crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
There was a gig we were playing and we just get a text message before and he's just holding his thumb. It's just dangling. He cut it with a circular saw, almost sliced it completely off.
It was gnarly.
Yeah, glove got sucked into it. He was doing handyman work and like it sucked his hand into the saw.
It's like, I ain't gonna make it today, guys.
Literally dangling. I mean, I'm gagging looking at this picture. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I don't know if you know this, Vic, but so bass player and my band, A Good Rogering, he's a machinist, and several years back he chopped the end of his finger off, like same kind of thing.
I didn't know that.
We had to cancel the gig and everything. Now we're just like, we think he's like part fucking reptile, like lizard. Because I swear he's like, it'll be all good, it'll grow back, and we're like, dude, no, your shit doesn't grow. It's shit, you're not fucking finger grew back.
That's crazy.
Be careful, bro. Like it was nuts. He's like, oh, hey guys, I don't think I'm gonna play the game tonight. I just chopped the tip of my finger off, and we're just like, holy shit.
That's so gnarly. Not the text you want, or not the message you want to receive before a show.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it wasn't like some major event. It was just like, well,
neither was ours either. You know, like
he's playing now. He's back.
He's back in action.
He's back to playing. He plays in this band in town called the Carmonas.
They're great band. And shout out Chris, dude. He was the fucking homie. Like, what a cool guy to just come in and play with. Like, he was like, late 30s, somewhere, 35 to 40 years old, and like we're these little stoner kids next door, and he's like so down to just come over and thump whatever. He's like, what are you guys playing? Boom.
I love the idea though of just like there's a knock at the door and a dude with a fucking upright bass.
Dude,
like,
he came out of his house and it's literally next door, and he put that motherfucker over his head and was like so high.
That's
You're awesome. Like, come on over here, dude. Like, let's jam.
That's you guys have a great origins story with that shit.
Right, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, and then the follow-up, his thumb fell off. Oh shit. Okay, well.
Dude, almost fell off. It was dangling, bro. I mean, he was close to slicing that whole thing off. So
we just started playing gigs for a little while without a bass player.
Yeah, we did 5-piece banjo, 2 guitars, mando, violin.
And then
so you had some different.
Yeah, we were a 6-piece at first. Sorry, he mentioned Nick Riffle earlier. Like, Riffle is a big inspiration to me. He lives with our bass player now. He's the fucking dude. He plays in a band in town called Mosey. Mm-hmm. They're amazing psychedelic rock band, awesome. 3-piece. They're fucking cool as shit. Steely Dan like vibes, and then like super weird. Like it navigates a lot of different things. But Riffle was a huge inspiration, and like he was the first guy in Nashville when I was like 20 to like sit down, and I'm like, holy shit, like. Kids can play guitar like rock stars, like he's just ripping on this electric guitar. I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, that is insane. So yeah, he was in the band for a while playing the lead stuff. And then eventually I got, started building up the confidence and the vocabulary on it to, take a stab at it. He was doing his other band as well. He had another musical venture, and it was like, hey man, we're going to do this. Obviously you're going to stick with that as well. So like, it was a friendly departing, but he's
the less personnel, the easier, there's a lot of those 2-piece bands these days, and you don't have to like herd so many cats, so to speak, to try to, get everyone in the studio, especially something like touring. So
it'd be hard with a 6-piece band right now. I mean, it would make our lives way different. But that wasn't the factor. If the music called for a 6-piece, we would fucking load up the van and we would do what we needed to do. But I think right now we found a cool groove with the 4-piece.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So the new album just came out November 11th. That can be found on all the typical streaming outlets, also on your website, I imagine. But Brightest of Days is the new record from Sicard Hollow. Go check them out at sicardhollow.com. Nice and easy. You have no excuse, people, to not go out there.
Yeah, come on now.
Buy that goddamn Bear Playing an Upright Bass shirt. Come on.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you guys would like to add before we skedaddle?
No, just thank you guys so much for a pleasant conversation and just being the homies. It's always nice to get on a podcast and then you just like forget that you're even on a podcast. It's like we're just vibing, talking about shit that we like to talk about, and we appreciate all the input that you had. And yeah, it's just cool whenever we can have a flowy conversation. So yeah, cheers to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's why we started this, man. We started it during the pandemic, and Vic was doing voiceover stuff, and he's like, "Hey, this is Vic, and I have the best voice ever." Let's start a fucking podcast. I know, Let's start talking.
So did they too? They started a podcast.
Really?
Music City. Is it called
Music City podcast?
Yeah, during the pandemic. Yeah, they did a couple of different. And you could find Nick Riffle on there. You could find Parrish interview on there. A lot of people we've talked about. Trevor Clark, he's on there. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Music City podcast. Awesome.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Well, I think we're getting better. We don't ramble as long as we used to. There's no pandemic rants, masked versus no mask.
They used to do that. They practice in here. They would go off on
subject of the day. So many times Vic was like, "Oh shit, here he goes again." But
right, yeah, straight up. That's so funny.
Stay on topic.
Right, that's hilarious.
Alex and Will from Sicard Hollow, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's a pleasure talking to you. Wishing you continued success with everything, and we hope to see you down here in Texas, man. If you come down to
we'll get you guys on the guest list if we're near you. We'll throw you on the guest list. We'll get to shoot the shit and actually hang out in person. That'd be super cool.
Cool. Then I'll post my photo of my bear shirt when it arrives. So.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah, please do. Straight up. Absolutely. I'll be looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. I'll let you sign out, Vic. Do your thing.
All right. That does it. Gentlemen, thank you. Let's see. What else we got going on? I was going to plug Skunk Fest, but that was last week. So
it already happened. We got to get these guys down next year. Shit, man.
That's right. Yeah.
Sounds dope.
Yeah. So, all right. That's it. Weird sign off, but I think we had a pretty good podcast until we fucking ruined it right then.
We always ruin it.
Are better.
Sit here awkwardly now. All right. Until next time.
Yeah. Much love, guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
Later, guys.
Take care. See ya.
Hey folks, that concludes another episode of the podcast. Guest links will be available in the show notes. We'd like to thank our friends at Top Shelf Music for showcasing the podcast on their site. Be sure and check them out at topshelfmusicmag.com for the latest music news, reviews, and events. We'd also like to thank the folks over at Tragan Guitars, Godin Guitars, Ernie Ball Strings, and 5 Iron Woodworks. Have a great week and catch you on the next one.